Welcome back to Speak Up Queen, the podcast where we empower, uplift, and celebrate women who have reclaimed their voices to inspire others. Today, we are thrilled to welcome Sarah Schaffer, a dynamic life strategist, author, and motivational speaker who is transforming the life of Gen X women with over 25 years of experience as a social worker and a deep well of lived experience. Sarah is a guiding light for women seeking to untangle the chaos in their lives and rediscover clarity, confidence, and purpose. A survivor, feminist, and advocate, Sarah's unique approach combines raw honesty, practical tools, and humor to navigate the complexities of modern life. Her story and expertise inspire women to embrace their power and live authentically. Let's give a warm welcome to Sarah Schaffer, a true advocate for thriving amidst life's challenges, here to empower and uplift us all. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a delight.
Well, first of all, thanks for waking up at 3 a.m. We need to acknowledge that you have woke up 3 a.m. this morning to be part of this big mission. So thank you so much. I really want to say thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yep, love it.
What was the most challenging, limiting belief you had to overcome, and how did breaking free from it reclaim your voice?
The most limiting belief, I'm going to say, is that this was all there was. This was it. This was what the book was written, and this is the way that it's going to go. And understanding that we do not have to live to those conformities, and we have every right to do exactly what we want to do.
I love it. Can you share when someone's words or actions made you feel small and how you found the strength to rise above it?
So, a lot stems from my upbringing. And, we don't need a scientist or a doctor to tell us that we are the products of our childhood. And, the things that were told to me as a child, you're not enough, you won't survive outside of this, like it just, and it is an innate feature of me to drive forward. I do know where it comes from. Again, childhood. And that survival need becomes so strong. And she gets put down and beaten down, but she's still there. She's always there. And when we listen to her, that's when we get the strength to move on, to continue up, to not listen to those voices that then repeat over and over. People are dead and long gone, and you're still hearing that shit over and over and over again. And when we look at ourselves right in the mirror and decide what we like about ourselves, that gives the strength to move past those horrible, repeated, intrusive thoughts.
And do you find that experiences motivate you to lift others up going through something similar?
There's no doubt. There is no doubt. I have the education, I have, the wherewithal, but it's those life experiences, we could go through the laundry checklist, the childhood abuse and all the beauty that goes with that and the lovely choices that we make, to surviving 9/11, to my child being diagnosed with a rare disease, surviving a stem cell transplant, developing a foundation out of that, a cord blood program out of that. And now, and he is completely blind in his left eye, partially blind in his right. He's missing 14 teeth. And this past August, he got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So the life that I have lived that is 11 Shades of Meredith Grey absolutely gives a different perspective and a different way of looking at how I work, at how I live. Um, and when you learn to combine them, for the power of the good, and you find an outlet and a resource to invest all of this emotion that we as women have stuffed down, just like Spanx, and we expect it to disappear. And all it's doing is bubbling out everywhere else. And it is extremely uncomfortable and quite unsightly. We ain't looking good. So when you decide, fuck this, I'm not, I'm not suffocating anymore. And you pull on all of that, what could be perceived as negativity and all of those things, and use them because they're not going to go away. So you better find a way to use that energy that isn't self-destructive, that doesn't land you in rehab twice. I was a raging alcoholic, raging. And I've been sober for 3.5 years now.
No.
And, you know, that that turning point, that, like we talked earlier, that look yourself in the eye. Where are you going with this? And it's becomes do or die, honestly.
And that's something that now that you say that you were an alcoholic, that was something that was just a coping mechanism. It was just to numb those feelings because I mean I've been there smoking, alcohol, drinking. I've done all of those bad things as a teenager, but that was just my way of showing the world, oi, there's something going on. Can someone help me? But unfortunately, some generations, I'm not going to call anyone, were taught, be quiet, don't talk, be thankful if something happens to you. If he
Right.
beats you, be thankful you've got a man that's taking care of you. Um, don't talk, don't say anything. Just put it under the rug. And that is something that I've learned when I was doing my trauma informed certification. Was really about, it's not what's wrong with you, it's actually what happened to you that you are grabbing onto coping mechanisms like alcohol. And you can also have unhealthy exercise
Oh, for
addiction.
sure. Absolutely. And it's all feeding, like you said, we are products of our environments. It is not disputable. And when we stop blaming, when we stop labeling, oh, you're crazy, you're overreactive, you're emotional, you're unhinged. No, fuckers, I'm pissed, you know? And and when we own that, it is amazing. And you know, you are absolutely correct. Whatever addiction isn't good. It doesn't matter what it is. You are substituting, you're feeding something. And I always love to revert back to the good wolf and the bad wolf, right? Yeah, there's an old adage, an old story that a grandfather was telling his grandson as they were watching two wolves fighting, and the grandson said, "Which one wins?" And he had described the good but wolf and the bad wolf of the, self-doubt, the anger, the resentment, all of that, and the good wolf of the shining and the light and the love and all that. He said, which one wins? And he said, the one you feed. And so exactly, and we've got all of this food. And so, when we're stuffing and feeding and just making it all worse, and it is absolutely, those addictions are byproducts of what we've gone through, whether as a child, as a young adult, as an adult. Trauma is trauma. And the alcohol for me absolutely was, everything was down. This was going nonstop, and life keeps coming. Those shit fireballs keep coming, and you need to know how to dodge them, tuck and roll. And if you don't, and they smack you in the face, you have two choices. You can either wipe it off and move on, or you can sit there and smell like shit. It's for me, it's kind of like it becomes that simple. And so the alcohol was just numb, 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 numb. I couldn't feel. I didn't know how to feel. I didn't, our fight, flight, and freeze. This is trauma certified. The fight, flight, and freeze. In our formative years, if we struggled, which most of us did as children, she's on fire. That's what she learned. That's what she learned to protect us. But then, as a trying to function adult, she's on fire all the time, and she doesn't know the difference between the two. So she's got you revving 100 miles an hour every single scenario, and you just can't manage that. So we're drinking, we're drugging, we're doing, I did enough cocaine to kill small countries in my 20s, and at that point I didn't know why. And at 48, when those dots were connected, and you're like, oh, admitting that your father abused you, your father, an Orthodox Jew, cantor at synagogue, is the one who abused you as a child. You can't, normal people can't even bring that to the front of their brain. So now at 48, you're realizing this and you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I'm not that psychotic freak that was weak and an alcoholic. I was not. I was the strongest fucking human being in the world. And I need to give myself credit for that and stop looking at it as a negative and be like, oh, fuckers, you would never have even breathed a day in my life. All right, I got this. And it's that revelation that is so freeing, that allows you to become sober, that allows you to do that work to get just enough sober to get a little more sane, keep your sobriety, get a little more sane, feel empowered, get a little more sane. It's this building block. But once you take away that need to mask, and you're like, nope, here I am. And that's what happened when I went to rehab, when I went to Betty Ford, because you got to go big or go home. And uh, it was the first time I had said it out loud. And it was the most freeing moment, because to sit back and think, my parent, the two people, the only two people in the world that you really instinctually believe are going to love and trust you. I mean, and take care of you. When it's that person. So saying it out loud, acknowledging it, knowing that I wasn't the most disgusting human being in the world. But the counselor that I had this small little card from page 417 out of the big book that says, it's about acceptance, life on life's terms. If there's something you don't like, you need to turn that camera right back around on you. What are you doing? What are you tolerating? What are what is your role in that dumpster fire? And I'd go in there and I'd be like, this happened to me. And, you know, planes flew into buildings and my child almost died, la, la, la. And he would smack that fucking card right in front of me every single time. He'd be like, acceptance. acceptance. You cannot change any of this. Nothing. You cannot change it. It is not within your power wheel. So figure out what is. And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. And that was the beginning. And I'm sitting here down into my den. There's an entire bar here. Like, it doesn't bother me to be around it. It doesn't bother me. Now, people are getting hammered and I'm looking at them like, oh, asshole. But, but that was never the issue. It was, I don't look at it and be like, that tastes good. No. And I was never good time Sally. I was sitting by myself, just drinking into an oblivion and being completely at work full time, 2 kids, one's a post-transplant baby, running a foundation, an older child that they get pushed aside. I'm sorry. When you have an ill child, the other children get pushed aside. It's natural. You have to put your energy. And getting sober has allowed me to have those conversations with him and be like, I get it. I get it. It wasn't your fault. It sucked. And I wish it was different, but I did the best that I could with what I had at the time. The knowledge, the will, whatever I could muster up in myself. And here's a huge thing as a parent. I didn't choose to be born where I was born, and neither did they. So this whole well, I went through this and you should, fucker, I'm going through my own crap. And when we acknowledge it, that was the thing I never got. Never got my day in the ring. Never got to address, to be what I thought I needed was validated, and to break that cycle and completely, I mean, when I tell you I own everything, there is not one iota that my kids don't know, that my husband doesn't know, that Bob on the street doesn't know. I don't care. I don't care anymore. And that is the most freeing thing in the world. And so to acknowledge to my children, you were not the cause of any of this. You were not, and I'm sorry that you went through this. And tell me what it was like for you. Tell me. My breaking moment to go to rehab number 2, I picked up my oldest son after he swam the mile, and he was thirsty. He was 14 years old, and I handed him what I thought was a bottle of water, and it was straight vodka. And he took 2 huge gulps of it and was like, it's fucking vodka, you fucking drunk. And I was like, that is parenting of the year. And you don't get much lower than that as a mom. You don't. And when you decide that they are the most important, they can't fix your past. They can't make your past any better. They can't. And that's what I was grilled with. Well, we grew up this way. We did this. But okay, it's called evolution. We evolve. We evolve in the life that we live. If we do not evolve, then I'm sorry, laws of nature say bye.
That's good. That's definitely true.
So I know that was a very long-winded roundabout answer, but I'm so glad that you are doing this, because these questions prompt you to think. I know they were, things that I had thought about before, and they end up being completely different answers when you get in the moment and how you're thinking about it.
And that's what it's all
And
about. it's just I started when I started this Speak Up Queen. I was like giving everyone choices to create so that I could ask them. And then it was like, no, I don't really want you to know what I'm going to ask you, because I say, Lord, lead the way. If they're gonna ask, if I'm on a podcast, just ask me questions. I don't want to know what you're gonna ask me. Just ask me, because I know the right answer for that moment, that memory that's gonna pop up, is needing to be said. So I just love the feedback that you just gave me. It's knowing that I'm doing it's working.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. And it's amazing to see women starting to embrace the conversations. Because don't forget, we start talking, and guess who's like, men. So as we have been trained since the beginning of time, that we should curtail ourselves and curb what we think, what we speak, and everything at the direction of men. I don't know where in this science background I just don't understand where men have this feeling that they are. I mean, don't even get me going on what's going on in my country, but that's a whole different story. But it's fascinating to me. And if women do not, our eyes are opening. Our eyes are opening, and we cannot unsee, and we should not unsee. And I think that's the biggest, because we were, well, just pretend it didn't happen. Pretend it didn't happen. And we can't.
What's one powerful lesson you've learned about self-worth, and how do you carry it with you as you continue to grow and inspire others?
I will say that my understanding of my self-worth really came when I got sober. And to stop allowing others to put value on me, meaning, and that is personally, professionally, you know, that stare in the eyes when you look at yourself in the mirror, and that's the only one that you're going down with. So that's the only one you need to be able to tolerate. And what I do every day is I do that, and I go through kind of my list, how I'm behaving, how I'm, communicating, those kinds of things. And it's, if my eyes have to move away, that's what I need to address. If I can be square, we're good. So that's where I found my value, was in my own eyes. And professionally, I was like, I'm a social worker. I've been a social worker for 25 years. I've been paid crap for 25 years. I'm a master's level clinician from an Ivy League institution, and I get paid $80,000 a year. And I'm a medical social worker in the hospital, taking care of some ridiculous scenarios. But I'm sitting there going, why? And we do this in our industries. Okay, you're going to tell me what I'm worth. And then you go to private practice, and the insurance company is going to tell you what you're worth. Fuck both of you. No, no more. And I struggle even now, what do I, where do we go price point? What do we do, and always women will undersell themselves. Always. A man will walk out and be like, I need $1 million for me to pee on your head. People will pay it. Women are like, I have a pot of gold, but can I have $3, please? like, oh, maybe $1.50. Hold on. I don't want to put you out. So, it's in our own eyes. Everything is there.
I love it. I really do love it. If you could tell your 17-year-old self one thing, what would it be and why?
Was that 70 or 17?
17.
17. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, at 17, I'm gonna be honest. At 17, I had buried things so far down that I didn't know at that time. That you couldn't acknowledge. And so the 17-year-old I would tell is, you will be okay. You will be okay. And honestly, that's kind of where I gauge everything in my life. My transplant baby's getting admitted to the ICU for type 1 diabetes now. I stood out on that lawn of the hospital and looked up and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And I'm not a God believer. I'm a universe gal. So I was having a moment with her. I was like, dude, I know. And then there comes that acceptance. Okay, there is nothing I can do about this. It's a direct connection. It's a direct relation to the transplant. We knew it was a possibility. We would never have made a different decision at the time. And so here we are. Okay. And what is my job as a mother? To make sure it's the easiest for you. And this kid's friggin' killing it. He is dealing with his diabetes better than 98% of the men I see in the hospital.
Yeah.
Grown ass men. And he's 15.
Wow.
So, and I look at him and with my eyes open go, I got nothing. I've got absolutely nothing. We're good. We're good. Because I can't spend time there, back there, all that shit. There's so much more right here. And the smile that I feel, and when I got sober, my relationships with my boys obviously completely changed. And like I said, that owning everything, that vomiting everything up, giving it all to them. You got it. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's more than I could have ever imagined, ever. And so completely worth it. It's completely worth the journey that you go through. And giving yourself credit that I've already, survivors. I've already survived all of that. Bring it the fuck on. I'm like a cockroach. Nothing's taking me. I was just having that conversation with one of my best friends last night, and she was getting on me. I smoke cigarettes. You know what? I'm sorry. Whatever. And she's like, you really got to stop that. You want to be around for your kids. I go, here's the funny thing. My universe, she thinks she's really hilarious and she's going to keep me alive for fucking ever. She's like, she's never going to let me leave. And, it's, this is it. This is it. And there's nature and we have to allow nature to happen. And I don't know, stop mucking around and everything. My favorite, one of my favorite women, Mel Robbins, to let them. Let them. We're done.
How do you set boundaries to protect your energy and peace? And what have you learned from this practice?
I've learned the art of the word no. No. Can you do this? No. Do you want to go here? No. I don't do holidays. I do not. I do not find value in them. I do not find, especially for, Christmas and the commercial. It's absurd. Absolutely absurd to me. And there's no warm and fuzzy feelings that I have about any of it so it just doesn't, it brings me angst to think about it. I don't want to spend time with people that I don't enjoy. I sure as shit don't want to buy you a gift. And it's this forced, again, written by men. We were talking, so who came up with this Yahoo idea that you had to buy 8 gajillion presents for your kids? Oh, it's the commercialism of it. It's the capitalism of it. It's the men of it. We didn't get here at the hands of women. We did not. Sorry, and oh, well, that's hurtful. I don't fucking give a shit. I do not care anymore. So the art of saying no and really setting up shop on my island of I don't give a fuck. I do not give, if I am speaking my truth and I never have any intention to harm people. So I judge 95% of stuff on intention. Did you intend to hurt somebody? Then you need to apologize, or you need to. So, oh, I lost my train of thought where I was going with that. It was a good one too. Oh, the island of I don't give a fuck.
Yes.
And the art of saying no, the boundaries. There we go. And if my kid's late for school, I don't give a fuck. If you get in an accident and you're okay, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, and so the kids have watched me take on this mentality to take ownership of my actions, my behaviors, all of that stuff. And that has allowed natural and positive boundaries with them where it's not, I don't give a fuck about you, but, let's learn what we're going to give a fuck about and what we're not. It was, Mason was treated for diabetes at the same place that he was at the same hospital that he had his transplant in. And, so of course we're in there and people are coming in and like, oh, this is supposed to suck. I got it. Like, just tell me what we need to do. I cannot give a fuck. There is no why. With my laundry list, I kind of sit there and will be like, well, the why is you must have been an eyeball sucking killer in your previous lives. So this is where we're going with this one. And I've just accepted that. I'm like, okay, that's my why. And that works for me. So, it's just the journey is exceptionally hard, but so worth it.
Definitely. Definitely. Just showing up as yourself and don't give a care in the world about what other people think. It's just so stress-free. You don't need to worry, oh, am I perfect? Is my hair okay? Is my dress okay? Nah. I love myself just the way I am. And the thing about when you are starting to show up as yourself, you attract the right people. Your light is really attracting the right people, and people is like, whoa, you've got so much confidence. And I'm like, did you know how hard I tried? I couldn't even look myself in the mirror. For 30 years, I couldn't look myself in the mirror. So it's hard work to become this person. But you must take responsibility for everything that have happened to you. Forgive the people that have hurt you. and move on and just start. We just have to
Just start. Yes, just start. Just start. I'm writing a book now and doing this company, just start. I'm 51 years old. Just fucking start, and it's fun. I'm doing what I love. And does it look like the picture of what I thought? Hell no. But we're just going to keep rolling with it and keep evolving it as things change and come together and fall apart and come together, because I have learned well enough that that's the way this shit rolls. And I don't have any choice in that, but I do have a choice in how I react to it.
Definitely. How do you stay grounded when challenges comes up now compared to before?
I do a lot of breath work, the breathing. I do ketamine treatments. So ketamine, so we're hearing the mushrooms, the psychedelics, all of the new, not new, but now acknowledged, the medical marijuana. Very big fan of that. And there are things that are necessary, just kind of like with regular commercial medicine, yes, if there are simple little things that can help me manage some of the nonsense that comes when you turn 51 and all, bring it on. But these natural products, the marijuana, the mushrooms, all of that, the 60s, they were all told that they were just crazy. And first of all, those are probably the most well-adjusted people in the world, is the people that did all these things in the 60s, because they just don't give a fuck. And, we just needed to get all there sooner. But so ketamine, it's for trauma patients, it is about breaking the synapses and creating new neural pathways. And what happens is with trauma, and you get those intrusive thoughts, and they're coming in, and they are incessant, and they're killing you. And no matter, I got sober, trauma therapy, all this stuff. And I was sitting there and I'm like, oh my God. I would wake up and I would want to kill 19 people, and half of them were already dead. And that's not a way to live. That was a shitty way to wake up in the morning. And so you go through this work, the very necessary work of getting sober and trauma, and you're at this brick wall, and there's a tiny little hole in the mortar, and you see all this stuff that you worked for, your children, your marriage, your jobs, whatever it is, and you're like, I see you, but I can't get to you. And I was like, I didn't fucking get sober to feel this way. And I looked at my husband and I was like, I gotta do something. They said, if I was diagnosed with cancer, we would have hauled my ass to Penn, and they would have pumped me full of chemo, of poison, to get rid of the cancer. This is cancer of my brain. And if I don't do something radical about it, I'm going to die. Like, I can't live this way. It is a fucking game changer. Game changer. And I would say I do a treatment every 3 to 4 weeks. This is the Matthew Perry, right? Well, Matthew Perry overdosed on ketamine in his hot tub, and people will say, oh my God, ketamine, that's what killed Matthew Perry. No. Bless his heart. Matthew Perry killed Matthew Perry. Ketamine did not do that. And the doctors that gave him the massive amounts. But it keeps, and you feel it, because you can't take 48 years of trauma and be like, remember the Spanx? Doesn't just disappear. It doesn't disappear. It's how I manage it. And the acceptance of that was, I'm sorry, my dog is having a dream, but um, I think that's huge. It's the acceptance that, bless you.
Thank you.
Your your dumpsters, they don't go away. Sorry, sweet cheeks, like that's just not a reality. We just don't have to run beside her, pour booze on her, and have the match ready to strike her up. And accepting that life on life's terms. So I said, and I've been doing this for about a year and a half. And it is so that grounding, it takes all sides. But breathing's a huge part of it too.
Yes, definitely. The last question.
Yes, ma'am.
What made you decide to be featured on Speak Up Queen? And how does it feel knowing that there's a safe space for women to share their stories and inspire others?
Well, I think we touched on it a little bit earlier. I think what you're doing is amazing. And 100 episodes in 6 weeks is just beyond amazing. So for me, I've always been a feminist. I've always stood up for I'm a social worker, for those who don't feel that they have a voice. And to see this happening now, these women standing up, opening our mouths, and loving what's coming out. Right. And embracing it about each other and to support each other. This is like a dream because, again, we brainwashed. We will use the word brainwashed. That's what we have been our entire lives of, you need to be quiet, all of that. I'm sorry, I'm distracted by him. So to watch women using their voices now. And I said it's frustrating, and especially here in the United States, that whole Me Too movement. Like, we're not hearing about that anymore. And you got friggin' P. Diddy coming at, like, this is ridiculous. Women, stand up, speak your stories, because that is the key to moving forward, is what I call the verbal vomit. You got to get that shit out. I don't care who it upsets. I don't care if people think, oh my God, well, now they're coming out now. Well, of course they are. Someone opened a door. Run, women, run and tell. Tell everybody anything you want to tell them. Find a coach. No, let me take that back. Speak your story. Do that. We don't run down New York Street telling, every single stranger our story. But find that person, find that coach, find that therapist, find that whoever and it's what I pride myself in my practice. Dude, I've been through it fucking all. There's no judgment here. Lay it out there. I can guarantee you I've thought it, said it, done it. And let's figure out where you're at with it. I know where I got to. Where are you? And to have that, it's not that you don't have compassion, but we don't need to be coddled. It's time to get the fuck up.
Yes.
It's time to speak the fuck up with the process. Say, well, you got it. All right. And it's kind of why I do my program as an intensive. Like, we have suffered long enough. Do you really want to sit here? We know where this is all coming from. We just don't want to say it out loud. Say it out loud with me, and we will start moving forward.
I love it. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for sharing your powerful and inspiring story today. Your journey reminds us of the strength and courage it takes to heal, grow, and thrive. To everyone tuning in, remember your voice and your story have the power to inspire and create change. If today's episode resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Until next time, Queens. Keep speaking up and embracing your power.